D2 Word Life here with Rip. I desperately need to go see a movie, Tides.
Go fuck yourself. And D2 definitely needs to get out of his house. Life.
Man, I leave my house more often than you. Actually, no, that's not even true.
Liar! What the fucking say, liar!
It's like I leave my house a couple times a week. How many times do you leave? How many times you leave your dang house? Way more than that, because you got people constantly asking you to do shit.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you ain't at your house doing any live streams or videos like this with me, you're off doing something.
Yes.
Anyway, this video ain't discussion of our freaking personal lives. It's freaking we are back again with a tier list. This time we are tier list ranking each Money in the Bank winner from 2005 to 2024. And yeah, the tiers I got is Hall of Fame, great, good, all right, trash. So,
well, we already know where one of it goes already. Put it up there in trash.
I'm putting them up in order, and I'll put it in trash when it shows up. And there could be I could already tell over the years there's a bunch that I believe should be in the trash.
Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it. We'll discuss not only the win, but the cash-in itself, whether we thought it was good, great, Hall of Fame, all right.
Which wasn't his fault.
You know what I'm saying. But let's talk about the first Money in the Bank winner, Edge, who won that briefcase at WrestleMania 21 and set the standard for what a Money in the Bank holder was, because at the time we didn't know what a Money in the Bank cash-in would look like. Never been done before. We kept thinking, is he the number one contender? Is he just going to cash in a regular match? But no. He would hold the champion. He would hold the Money in the Bank briefcase for several months and then cash in on John Cena with a heelish tactic.
He'd cash in at New Year's Revolution when the first Elimination Chamber match, after he had won it.
After Cena was beaten down.
Mr. McMahon said, "Oh, you have one more challenge, this guy."
And then Edge comes out, cashing his Money in the Bank when the champion Cena was beaten down, bloody, and vulnerable. And after about 2 spears, Edge won the WWE Championship.
Yes.
Of course, his reign would last for 3 weeks until he lost the title to Cena at the Rumble in a rematch, but Edge set the standard for what a heel Money in the Bank
what I say at the Rumble. Oh!
But Edge would set the standards for what a Money in the Bank cash-in should be, with a heelish tactic cashing in when the champion is vulnerable, the first person to do it.
Yeah, but it also established their lifelong fucking rivalry that they had, too.
Yeah, so honestly, this is just my opinion. I think Edge, first Money in the Bank briefcase winner, should go in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, most of his Money in the Bank would go into Hall of Fame.
So yeah, Edge is Hall of Fame. But then we go to 2006, WrestleMania 22, where the winner was Rob Van Dam. And unlike Edge, Rob Van Dam was obviously a face or a good guy at this point, so he announced his cash-in for One Night Stand 2006, which we watched that show recently. There, in what you would call an unfair match, he won the title off of John Cena.
I would say great.
Of course, his title reign wasn't really that memorable because less than a month later he would lose the championship after being busted for substances, and his title reign would go up in smoke.
Substances that are legal today.
But were illegal back then.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying I'd put it in great. Either good or great, because it was not average. He at least defended the title a couple of times.
For me, I would say it was good. I mean, it really wasn't necessarily great because his title reign that followed only lasted about 3 weeks.
Yeah, but that's why I said I'd put it in either good or great.
Yeah, and you got to realize, too, when he had the briefcase, he would actually defend it against Shelton Benjamin in a briefcase versus Intercontinental title match at Backlash, which you won.
Exactly.
So there's that. Right?
Yes.
So I would just put it under good. I know there's a lot of RVD fans that would probably want it up in great, but I'm just feeling that it's a good
I would even say great, but it'd probably be at the ass end of great towards good. Yep. But it'd still be in that great good territory.
And now we go on to 2007. At WrestleMania 23, Mr. Kennedy won the Money in the Bank, and what a case it could have been. He never even got a chance to cash it in. He got injured, and that injury
in trash.
And that injury was misdiagnosed, and well, by that point, he was already lost the briefcase.
Put it in the trash.
So unfortunately,
where it belongs.
Unfortunately for Mr. Kennedy, how good he was.
Nothing against Mr. Kennedy or Mr. Anderson.
I mean, the Money in the Bank ladder match WrestleMania 23 was a banger, as we know.
Yes.
It's just, you can't base the ranking off of that only.
The WWE dropped the ball on that one because they listened to their doctor instead of also getting the second opinion that he got from his doctor, which said that it wasn't as serious as what they said it was.
So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree with you. Kennedy is the first person in the trash column, not by fault of his own, but then we go on to the person who beat him for that briefcase, and that was Edge again. And Edge didn't even hold on to this contract either because he would cash in literally the very next SmackDown after he beat Kennedy for it to take the World Heavyweight Championship off of a very weak and bloodied Undertaker after a steel cage match they had. So it really wasn't that memorable.
After he would dress up as a cameraman and hit him with a camera.
Yeah, this was the time period. This was the match that Taker barely won. Actually, no, it was a draw with Batista, and then Mark Henry came out, beat down the Undertaker. Then Edge came out and cashed in. And
after Edge had already hit him with the camera.
Yeah, and I think Taker this was actually done to write Taker off because he had an injury as well. So yeah, Edge only had this for like maybe a day, maybe 3 if you count the day it aired. So
I would say good to great again.
I would just say it's all right, honestly. It wasn't that long of a cash. I mean, his first one, Money in the Bank, is the memorable one. This one, not as great.
Okay, I guess.
It's memorable. But, I'll compromise. I'll just put it under good since you said great and I said all right. It was just good. It just felt there to be there. Nothing really special.
I said it would be good to great, but okay, yeah.
Nothing really special.
But I would put it right behind RVD, though.
Yeah, since RVD held it longer by default.
Yes.
I know most people don't agree with that. They'd probably put Edge under trash.
RVD held the title, the Money in the Bank twice because it was put on the line twice, once against Shelton Benjamin the first time when he won the rematch for the Money in the Bank, and then the second time when they did it for the Intercontinental Money in the Bank thing.
Yeah. So anyway, we move on to 2008, WrestleMania 24. CM Punk won the Money in the Bank, and yeah, there's a lot of controversy with this one because this was originally supposed to be Jeff Hardy's Money in the Bank win, but he got suspended before the match could take place, so CM Punk got the nod instead. And CM Punk would go on to cash in against Edge in June of 2008 to win the World Heavyweight title in a very forgetful reign that not a whole lot of people remember even happening because he wasn't the focal point of Raw's main event scene. He would be later on, though, the following year. And he wouldn't even...
this one, I would say not really. I put it in great because this was also when after Edge had faced Batista and Batista powerbombed him.
Yeah. I mean, CM Punk
I would put it in great.
I mean, CM Punk would have successful title defenses against Batista and JBL, but the way he lost the title was in a backstage segment where he got attacked by Orton. He never even lost it in a proper match, as we know. So I would just put this one probably under great considering CM Punk did win his first world title with it. But his second Money in the Bank is more memorable that he won in 2009 at WrestleMania 25. A year later. Because, yeah, he won it as a face, but then he turned heel, cashing in on Jeff Hardy. After Hardy just beat Edge in a ladder match. TLC match.
Yes.
And then Punk would slowly start to morph into a more heelish persona that would later on morph into the Straight Edge Society group. And it all started with his Money in the Bank cash-in. And he had that great rivalry with Jeff Hardy in 2009.
I would put it in I'd put his second run in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So honestly, yeah, I agree with you. His second one goes into the Hall of Fame. Right? Considering that's what made CM Punk a devilish heel character that everyone hated at the time. But hey, if it works, it works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In 2010, at WrestleMania 26, we saw Jack Swagger win the Money in the Bank, and this was the last Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania.
Trash.
He would cash in the title in. He would cash the Money in the Bank in literally 2 days later on SmackDown to take the title off of Jericho. And then he would go on to have a forgetful reign, which he would lose the title to Rey Mysterio.
Trash.
I'm sorry, but nah. I wasn't a big fan of Jack Swagger's. Nobody else was either. And the reason they had him cash in so quick is because, well, in 2010, we had the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, the first one.
Well, technically, they wanted him to cash in on John Cena, but John Cena didn't want to give him the rub because he didn't think he would.
Oh, yeah. If they truly went in with Jack Swagger cashing out Cena the night after WrestleMania 26, you know Cena would have destroyed Swagger.
No, the thing is that he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to give him the rub, which they wanted him to give him the rub so that they could kind of push him more. But yep. Cena's like, no, I don't think this guy has what it takes. And he was correct. He didn't have what it took.
Yep. Anyway, now we move on to the first Money in the Bank.
That may be controversial to everyone, but that's what I think. And he was a crappy champion.
Yep. Yeah. And then we go on to the first ever Money in the Bank, where we have the two Money in the Bank winners. The first one being The Miz, winning the Raw briefcase. And yeah, The Miz would embark in a feud with Daniel Bryan shortly after this, win the U.S. title, drop it to Daniel Bryan, and then he would cash the contract in and defeat Randy Orton for the title the night after the 2010 Survivor Series.
Yeah.
And then he would go on to hold that championship, the W title, for several months, defeating Orton in a rematch, defeating Jerry Lawler in a ladder match, and then he would go on to defeat John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania 27. You know, the crappy WrestleMania.
Yeah, thanks to The Rock.
Before dropping the championship to Cena in a triple threat cage match the following month at Extreme Rules. And this would be his first of two Money in the Bank cash-ins. Where would you put this one? Because this one's the more remembered. And don't forget, his cash-in led us to that angry Miz girl freaking in the audience meme.
I guess Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah, I guess I got to give the Miz his due here. I'm surprised we have nothing in all right so far. But, you know, speaking of 2010, we go to the SmackDown 2010 Money in the Bank ladder match, which was won by Kane. And this one's unique because Kane would only hold this briefcase for about 40 minutes to an hour, and then he would cash in the same night on Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, it was literally 35 minutes to almost an hour. Yeah, it goes in Hall of Fame. Fuck everyone else that says no. Yeah, because he was the first to literally cash in on the same night and win the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, and a well-deserved reign afterwards after his so many years with the company.
Yes.
And he would go on to have that World Heavyweight Championship until December of 2010, feuding with Mysterio, Undertaker, and Edge.
Well, he lost it to The Undertaker when he found out that it was Kane that attacked him.
Well, he lost it to Edge. he would beat The Undertaker in 3 straight pay-per-view bouts for the world title. But either way, I think this reign was well-deserved at the time. Your opinion about him now may differ, but I seriously think it goes Hall of Fame. Better than the Miz's reign. Right?
Yes. Fuck everyone else's opinion that says differently. He was a great champion as well. And this was his demon persona.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of... I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of same-day cash-ins, but Kane gets a Hall of Fame one because he was the first person to do so.
Yes.
And then we go on to 2011, where we see your boy, Alberto Del Rio, with the Raw Money in the Bank briefcase. And then when CM... and you know what's funny? This one he had a failed attempt when CM Punk freaking won the championship from Cena. Only for Del Rio to cash in at SummerSlam after Kevin Nash attacked Punk. After Punk's match with Cena. And then he would go on to hold the title for like maybe...
all right.
And he would go on to have the WWE Championship for like maybe about a month, maybe 2 at most, before dropping it to Cena.
Yeah, I'm saying all right. It wasn't all that great. It wasn't really that good.
No.
And hell no to fucking Hall of Fame.
It's not exactly trash. It was something, but it kind of halted the summer of Punk at the time.
Yes.
So I guess it's the first one to go in all right. But it's not that good, right?
Yeah.
So there we go on to Daniel Bryan.
Oh, God.
Who, the whole time he had that Money in the Bank contract, he pretty much kept losing all of his dang matches on TV. He would cash in on an unconscious Big Show at the TLC 2011 pay-per-view, win the World Championship, successfully defend it against the Big Show and Mark Henry in a triple threat cage match at the Royal Rumble, win the Elimination Chamber, and then we all know how it ended. It ended with that 18-second squash to Sheamus at Mania.
Yes.
Which sparked the Yes movement, really, because that was crap. Where would you rank Daniel Bryan's Money in the Bank contract?
Same as Del Rio. All right.
Oh, I thought you would say Hall of Fame because the way it ended was the best, greatest match ever, you son of a bitch. I still remember you saying all that shit.
No, when he gets to Sheamus, yes, that's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, there's really nothing else. I mean, Daniel Bryan as a main event star really wouldn't kick off till way after the Money in the Bank, like a couple years afterwards, so. I'll put it on top of Del Rio. At least that one was more memorable.
Yeah.
Maybe for all the wrong reasons, but it was more memorable. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then we go on to 2012, and here we have Dolph Ziggler with the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank, or the SmackDown Money in the Bank, whatever you want to call it.
SmackDown.
Yeah, and he would actually have that briefcase for several months, including a successful briefcase defense against John Cena at the TLC 2012 pay-per-view. We'll get to John Cena here in a minute. And he would cash in the night after WrestleMania 39, defeating Alberto Del Rio in the biggest... and perhaps what followed was the biggest crowd pop on Raw the night after Mania. Of course, his title reign wasn't really that good, considering he got concussed and dropped it back to Del Rio a short time later.
I would put it in good.
Honestly,
it was decent.
I mean, it was way better than the next one we're about to talk about.
Like I said, I'd put it in either good or great because it was decent.
I would just put under great only because of the crowd pop when Ziggler won the championship, well deservingly too.
Well, also he would fake like he's gonna cash in because he had multiple attempts to cash it in, and then he's like, "No, I'm gonna take it back." No, no. So he gave us all that shit.
Yes. Yep. So next on this list we got John Cena, who won the Raw Money in the Bank briefcase. John Cena didn't even need a Money in the Bank briefcase to even get a title shot. And then he would cash in on Raw 1000 in a straight-up pre-announced match against CM Punk, which we all know Cena wasn't going to do the heel tactic at that time. And he would defeat CM Punk by disqualification due to the Big Show's interference, making him the first failed cash-in. I'm sorry, but this goes to trash.
I'm sorry, but yeah.
Even you being the John Cena mark would have to agree on that failed cash-in.
Well, it could be all right, because he did announce it at Money in the Bank that he was going to cash it in at Raw 1000.
But it was a failed one. It was crap. And John Cena didn't really even need the briefcase because he's, well, John Cena.
I would put it at the end of all right.
I would put it at the end of trash, honestly. I mean, this one's kind of a tough one to rank because John Cena on one hand, yeah, it's good. John Cena usually did this as an accomplishment anyway to add to his repertoire, but let's face it, back then, all John Cena had to do was breathe and get a title shot. He didn't need this. He was a top star already.
It would either be at the end of all right or the beginning of trash.
I'm sorry. I really don't want to do this to the John Cena fans, but I got to put this one under trash. I cannot even put it under all right. There's really nothing of substance here to go by.
He did announce it, which was the first time that someone actually announced that when they were going to cash it in.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying it'd either be at the beginning or at the end of all right.
I hate to correct. I don't think John Cena was the first person to announce a cash-in. That was Van Dam, who was under good. And Van Dam actually won his match, unlike Cena.
No, I'm saying at the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
That he was doing it at the Raw 1000. Rob Van Dam did it the night after Money in the Bank.
WrestleMania, whatever, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's a tough because it's
this one's a
probably
tough
at the ass end of all right or the beginning of trap because there's little bit of substance, but not a whole bunch.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to keep it under trash. I can't in good conscience put it in all right. Nothing came of it really, except for a wasted Money in the Bank contract. I know it's controversial here. I mean, I'm struggling thinking about this. God,
I just say it all right. Either at the beginning of trash or at the end of all right. That's all I'm saying. Because it did lead him up to doing greater things.
Except the problem is he didn't need the contract. He was a top star. I mean,
at that point, he really did need the contract.
Well, we're talking John Cena here, one of the biggest.
He needed the contract at the same time.
He didn't really need it, but he didn't really need it either. I mean, John Cena could have just walked up to CM Punk the night after Money in the Bank and be like, "Give me a title shot next week at Raw 1000," and it would have been set. That's pretty much what I'm saying.
Yes, that's what I'm saying is as well is he needed it, but he didn't really need it. That's why I'm saying that I agree that it belongs in the track at the beginning of the track, but I also believe that it like at the ass end of all right as well because it led up to multiple different angles.
Yeah,
rivalry that they had.
Anyway, I'm just gonna keep it in trash now because we got to move on. But if I feel like changing it later at the end, I'll do that. But anyway, we got the case of Damien Sandow from 2013.
Trash.
Yeah, this one wasn't really good. I mean, it was memorable because he had the
discussion necessary.
Well, he had the briefcase looking like a chocolate bar, but he failed to cash in his Money in the Bank contract against Super Cena.
Exactly.
A couple months later, after his feud with Cody Rhodes was done.
Trash.
Yeah, he, just like freaking Kennedy, deserved better than that. Right?
Yeah, and that's what led us to Mizdow.
Yes. And then we got Randy Orton's Money in the Bank win from 2013, which he only held the contract for about a month. Cashed in on Daniel Bryan after Daniel Bryan got attacked by Triple H following a match with Cena. And Randy Orton didn't even have to do an offensive move on Daniel Bryan to win the title. And from there, it was clear that Randy Orton was a member of the Authority stable.
I say Hall of Fame.
And he would go on to have...
He did hit the RKO. He didn't have to, but he did.
And he would go on to freaking, have a feud with Daniel Bryan over the WWE Championship following that cash in.
Well, also Batista.
Yeah, and then Batista came in, and then it just... This was pretty much the building blocks to the freaking, Yes-O-Mania with Daniel Bryan winning.
Yes. That's what I'm saying, Hall of Fame.
I don't know. Yeah. Do I think it's better than The Miz's? At least that told a better story. And a well-received main event.
Anything was better than The Miz's. I'm telling you now.
I'm sorry, the WrestleMania 30 main event, you and I got to agree, was better than the WrestleMania 27 main event, obviously.
Yes.
Oh, and then we go on to 2014's winner, Seth Rollins, who would freaking go on to have a freaking great run with the Money in the Bank, defending it against Dean Ambrose, being locked in a feud with Dean Ambrose, having a great triple threat match for the championship at Royal Rumble 2015, the only great match on that card. And then what did he do with the briefcase afterwards? Nothing really special. Just cashed it in at WrestleMania 31 in the main event and just took the title off of Brock in his match against Roman Reigns called the ISIS Entry. Not even a decimal, because if I put it anywhere lower than that, people would hate me.
Nah, fuck you ain't getting this shit. I'm just putting it right there where it fucking belongs, because you're gonna make me fucking put it where fucking Sheamus is in the fucking Hall of Fame, you stupid son of a bitch. I know what you're thinking.
For Seth Rollins, there's freaking cash, and you'd be like, Hall of Fame? The only thing that sucks is that, yes, Rollins would actually hold the championship for a good chunk of time. Several months all the way to the end. I wouldn't say it
was Hall of Fame. I'd say it was great, but...
Yeah, I mean, he would hold that championship all the way to pretty much near the end of 2015, and the only thing that
he had to vacate people like about it was because he cashed in on Lesnar and Reigns.
Two people that nobody wanted to see win in the main event at that time.
They wanted to see Brock Lesnar win.
And you can't argue with this. You were happy when freaking goddamn Rollins cashed in too. Only because that meant your boy Roman Reigns wasn't going to win the title.
No, that was your boy.
No, that was your boy.
No, it's your boy because you like sucking that Roman Reigns copium dick, don't you?
No. Oh, and anyway, here we got freaking Sheamus. And I know the joke with freaking Sheamus I like to do is automatically put him in trash, only to antagonize you. But we got to talk about this. I'm actually going to be fair with it. Sheamus won the Money in the Bank briefcase at Money in the Bank 2015. I don't remember how memorable his freaking little run with the briefcase is. Maybe he was booked strongly. I don't remember, but I do remember his cash in at Survivor Series, where Reigns just won his first championship. Everyone hated it, and then Sheamus came in, freaking broad kick, cash in, stole the title. Everyone loved it, and it was kind of funny seeing Roman Reigns just sitting there defeated when confetti was still flying over him.
Put it in the Hall of Fame, you son of a bitch.
Just for the trolling fans to be like, fuck you. You suck. He wouldn't even hold the title that long. He would only have it for about a month, but I don't care anymore.
It doesn't matter. Put it in the Hall of Fame.
There you go. You happy, you dickbag?
Yes.
It's the only time I'll ever agree with you on that one.
Roman Reigns was like, hey, I win!
Nope, sorry, one more match. Okay, you're done. You lose. And that's how Roman Reigns' first world title reign came to an end. And to this day, his shortest reign was that from Survivor Series.
Yes. Just like your shortest reign as our champion was only 24 hours. No, 48 hours.
Still longer than Roman Reigns' first WWE Championship reign. Okay, now moving on. 2016, we had Dean Ambrose, the second person to cash in the Money in the Bank on the same night. He would win the Money in the Bank ladder match, hold it for like maybe 2 hours, and then cash in on Seth Rollins, who just beat Roman Reigns to win the title. Thus making Money in the Bank 26.
That's Hall of Fame worthy as well.
But a
lot of people would say that would be either average or great as well.
Thus making Money in the Bank 2016 being the night where all three former Shield members held the WWE Championship on the same night.
Nice forehead cam.
Oh, I know. My forehead looks great, doesn't it? Honestly, to me, it's like I'm not really a fan of fame. I'm not really a fan of same-day cash-ins. Friggin' Dean Ambrose became the second person in Money in the Bank history to do it. Now, if Kane didn't cash in his contract the first night why, and Dean Ambrose was the first, I'd put it in the Hall of Fame. But because of the...
It was either great or Hall of Fame, because this was also what led to the feud of all three of them versus each other.
This led to and that cash-in led to the Shield triple threat.
Yes.
That everybody wanted to see at that time. Which Dean Ambrose also won, and then he would go on to be drafted to SmackDown and then lose a championship in a great match to AJ Styles. So, for me, I would put this under great, above CM Punk up there, only because of the history with the Shield and where it came out. Well, like
I said, I think they put it in Hall of Fame were great because it did give us a bunch of different rivalries, and it also gave us whatever originally was Rollins versus Ambrose versus Roman.
Yeah. And then we go on to 2017, and for the first time in 2017, we had the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which we'll be talking about the men's and women's winners from this point respectively. And the winner of the women's Money in the Bank ladder match 2017 was Carmella. And you know what's funny? I still remember this. You know what's funny? You know who won the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match? Technically, it wasn't Carmella. It was the Chinless Wonder. Remember when James Ellsworth freaking got that briefcase off of the briefcase and just handed it to Carmella?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Trash.
Of course, they would run that back literally a couple weeks later where Carmella won the briefcase legitimately. And then she would go on to hold the championship for several months, or the briefcase for several months, before cashing in on Charlotte Flair on the SmackDown following WrestleMania 34 to actually win the SmackDown Women's title.
Now, this isn't part of this, but what if Santino Marella dressed as Santina, James Ellsworth, we're in the women's Money in the Bank match? How cringe would that be?
Your mind went to a friggin' place that I don't even want to fathom or think about. Honestly, I would say this one to me is all right because it was the first woman Money in the Bank briefcase holder. And let's face it, not too many women's Money in the Bank briefcase winners were actually very good compared to this one.
I guess the ass end of all right, I guess.
I mean, yeah, seeing James Ellsworth get his ass kicked and his dudes was a little bit comedic, so, yeah. During that time period.
Like I said, what if Santino Marella, that was dressed up as Santino, was in the women's Money in the Bank match with James Ellsworth? How cringe would that be?
I don't want to live in a world where that could happen, and in an alternative universe, that did happen. Now you're thinking about it.
Right? Imagine how rich that would be.
Oh, very. And now we go to 20. Now we have the freaking money in the bank holder Baron Corbin from 2017, I believe.
Trash.
Yeah, he would hold it for about a month, lose it in an underwhelming match against Jinder Mahal, where the only thing Jinder Mahal did was roll him up after a distraction from Cena to get the 3 count.
This is where the don't hinder gender thing started.
Sorry, but Baron Corbin's was worse than John Cena's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the start of the don't hinder gender movement.
Yes. Oh, yeah, and just for the record, the Money in the Bank 2017 was a SmackDown branded pay-per-view, but it wasn't the case for the rest. That wasn't the case for the rest of these.
Yeah.
And then we go on to 2018, where the women's Money in the Bank winner was Alexa Bliss. She would only have that champion. She would only have the briefcase for maybe about an hour, like Kane did back in 2010, and like Ambrose did in 2016. She would actually cash in on Ronda Rousey following a match against Nia Jax. Or she would cash in on Nia Jax after getting beaten down by Ronda Rousey to take the Raw Women's Championship. And then, of course, Alexa Bliss's title reign that followed wasn't. She was feuding with Ronda Rousey, would lose the title to Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam 2018.
Yeah, but it's still hard because she actually she cashed it in on her friend, and even now on SmackDown, she said, "Oh, I may have cashed it in just like you did on Nia, but the thing is, I actually liked Nia."
Making reference to this time period.
Yes. It's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of same-day cash-ins, but I'll put it there behind Kane's, at least. All right. And then we go to Braun Strowman, and what a case of what could have been here, too, because Braun Strowman has Mr. Money in the Bank.
Monster in the Bank.
He was the Monster in the Bank. Announced his cash-in against Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship in a Hell in a Cell match at the 2018 Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, which ended in a no contest due to Brock Lesnar's interference. And the referee's like, ooh, they can't continue. And the referee was Mick Foley at the time, so how do you explain that one?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, but Braun Strowman goes to trash for that. I know they wanted to protect both Roman Reigns at the time and Braun Strowman from a loss, but why book it in a Hell in a Cell match then? Oh, by the way, it wouldn't be the first time they did this, but thank God we don't have to talk about the 2019 one here. You're like, go to yourself for making me remember that.
Sit and spin, buddy. Sit and spin.
I don't think so. But speaking of 2019, we go to 2019's Money in the Bank winners. The Miss Money in the Bank was Bayley, who, once again, like Alexa Bliss before, cashed in on the same night. This was getting ridiculous. She would cash in against Charlotte Flair after being freaking
I'd say it was good because it wasn't really that memorable.
Yeah, she would cash in on Charlotte Flair that night and, well, win the title. And I think she would drop it a short time later back to Charlotte.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it would be good. It was better than all right. That's why I'm just saying it'd be good. It wasn't really Hall of Fame or great. That's what I'm just saying is average or good.
I would just say it's good. Maybe better than Edge's second one, but not as good as Van Dam's or memorable. Right?
Yeah.
And then we go to Brock.
Really, buddy.
Yeah, and then we go to Brock. I'm sorry, Brock Lesnar did not need this Money in the Bank briefcase either. It's the same thing as a John Cena discussion.
He was the beast in the bank.
Brock Lesnar could just walk in the building and just demand a title match, and he'd be like, oh, here you go. You're the beast. Here you go. Here's a title shot for no reason. Hey, you want to squash Kofi Kingston in like 10 seconds? Here you go. Of course, it was funny seeing Brock Lesnar treat the briefcase as a boombox afterwards.
I'm just saying Hall of Fame because of his actions that he did, though.
Brock Lesnar wasn't even in this match, though, for 99% of it. It was pretty much freaking Ricochet and everyone else taking bumps, and right when, I believe it was Ali trying to get the briefcase, Brock Lesnar's music hit, only hit a suplex on Ali, climbed the ladder and just took the briefcase, be like, mine. That's all he did in the match. Oh, that was a segue from the win.
Hall of Fame worthy.
And then he would have the freaking goddamn Brock party treating that freaking briefcase with a boombox, like a boombox, during his promos on Raw. And then what would happen? About a month after Money in the Bank, he would cash in Extreme Rules against Seth Rollins, getting revenge for WrestleMania 35, taking that title back.
Yes.
The Universal Championship back, only to drop it back to Rollins a month later at SummerSlam again. I would not put it in the Hall of Fame, even though freaking his little comedy stuff back then with the briefcase did make me laugh. I gotta admit that.
Put it in the Hall of Fame, bitch.
Because the first time I seen that, I'm like, what the fuck is he doing with that briefcase? Oh, it's a boombox. He's listening to music. Like, what? I can't put it in the Hall of Fame, though. It's like the John Cena case. Brock Lesnar didn't need this to get a championship match anyway. Brock could just be in the bathroom in the toilet taking a shit and he would get a title shot.
Well, this is also him coming off of after losing his heavyweight title. He just comes back to WWE and just fucks like, fuck this, I'm getting in the Money in the Bank match. I don't get it.
I can't put it in Hall of Fame. I can't do it. Everything, all logic is telling me not to.
All right, put it in great then.
This will piss a lot of people off. It's going out the ass into great. Only because of the comedy bits he did with the briefcase. That's it.
Well, this is also when he came back to the WWE as well after off of his loss of the UFC World Heavyweight title match.
Hey.
Because he had lost it. He was the champion at that time, and he had just lost it.
And then we go on to 2020, where we had the men and women's freaking Money in the Banks happening at the same time in the corporate freaking WWE building, headquarters building, only because of, well, we all know why the world was shut down at that point.
Yeah.
And I really hate to say this, but is putting Asuka on this list, even though she is a Money in the Bank winner, even fair at this point?
Well, this was her first Money in the Bank.
And her only one to date. And it wasn't even a cash-in because the next night on Raw, it was revealed that women's Money in the Bank that year was for the Raw Women's title, considering Becky Lynch was pregnant and was going to be leaving at this point. So there wasn't even a cash-in. It was just for the title in the briefcase.
It was a cash-in because she cashed it in. But it was like an automatic cash-in.
Yeah, it was technically for the Raw Women's title because the Raw Women's title was in the briefcase itself. So,
yes,
I don't even know where I would place this. Honestly, it would be unfair to place it in trash. Let's get that straight. And you know, Asuka did carry the women's division in the dreaded time, which was 2020. Her along with Bayley. So I would say good. Behind Edge, his second cash in, only because at least Edge had a cash in.
Yeah.
In a match against the champion. Asuka did not. But I can't put it any higher than that. And then we got Otis. I never really pictured Otis as a potential main eventer. That should have been AJ Styles' briefcase at the time.
Enough said.
Trash, enough said. He would go on to lose that briefcase to The Miz, who would cash in who would defeat Otis at the Hell in a Cell 2020 pay-per-view, cash it in at Elimination Chamber against Drew McIntyre to win his second WWE Championship, only to drop it to Bobby Lashley 8 days later on Raw.
Yes.
my opinion, it goes into the ass end of all right. What do you say for the Miz's second cash?
I guess.
What?
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, his first cash in back in 2010 was way more memorable than this. Right?
I would say trash.
I wouldn't say trash because at least he had a successful cash in. Right?
But on the other hand, it was decent.
I mean, yes, the Miz winning the WWE Championship, even though it was in a Thunderdome, was more well received than the first time winning, but the first time was more memorable, though.
Yeah, I agree for all right. It was decent enough.
And his title reign would only last about 8 days, like I said, though. So.
Yeah.
So we go to 2021. We go to the 2021 Money in the Bank winners. The first one being Nikki ASH. This would have been better if she was still a Nikki Cross character.
Trash.
Of course, she would break the tradition of the women cashing in the same night, holding it for 24 hours before cashing it in on Charlotte, only to lose it about 20-something days later at SummerSlam back to Charlotte. There's really nothing other substance than that.
Trash.
Put her in trash, at least. I'll put her in trash above freaking goddamn Sandow and Otis here because at least she won her match. Unlike these two. Hell, Otis didn't even cash in. Right? Speaking of not cashing in, I gotta do this. Place Kennedy here. Alright. Still, because Kennedy couldn't even cash in either. I'm putting here right in front of Otis. Why? Why is Damian Sandow above Kennedy? At least Sandow cashed in and failed.
No, I'd say he's in front of Sandow.
Only because the match was probably better. I don't know.
Well, because he attempted, and then WWE said, no, you're going to be putting it up against Edge. So...
And, of course, let's go back to 2021. We got the men's Money in the Bank briefcase winner, which was Big E. He would hold on to the briefcase for about a couple months, and then he would cash in successfully in a regular match against Bobby Lashley. And he would hold the WWE Championship. He would go on to have a main event match at Survivor Series against Roman Reigns before dropping it at the 2022 Day 1 pay-per-view to Brock Lesnar, of all people.
I would say Hall of Fame because he actually had some amazing rivalries. He actually defended the title when he won it.
Yeah, but after he lost, he never really got a rematch, and well...
No, he got a rematch. He lost his rematch.
Yeah, and well, At least he's happy doing what he's doing now as a backstage
and
personnel.
And they stuck him in the mid-card with the New Day.
Yep. So Biggie...
Or the Boo Day.
Actually, I don't know if I would call him his cash-in or his cash-in a Hall of Fame worthy. I would think it's great. Maybe
no, it was Hall of Fame because he actually defended. He actually had the Money in the Bank put on the line once before.
Maybe at the ass end of Hall of Fame then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe better than the Miz's. I'm sorry, I have to say that. Right?
Yes.
And now we go to the 2021 Miss Money, or 2022 Miss Money in the Bank. Or 2021 Miss Money in the Bank, whatever. We got Liv Morgan here. I think she would go on to cash in against Ronda Rousey. To win that SmackDown Women's title. This is the 2022 winners here that we're at.
I'm just going to say it'd be at the ass end of good because she at least decently had it and waited a little bit.
I remember it being a same day cash in and she would go on to feud with Rousey at SummerSlam before ultimately drawing it back to her at the following pay-per-view following SummerSlam. So I would say this one.
Yeah, I'd still say good.
I would say this one's at the ass end of the good column. Right?
Yes.
And then we got Austin Theory, who didn't even cash in. Who didn't even cash in on the world title because, let's face it, the world title scene was completely taken by Roman Reigns, the tribal chief at this point. He would cash in on a mid-card title, the U.S. Championship, against Seth Rollins, and he would lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enough said about that.
Worse than Otis. Put it behind Otis.
Fine. Worse than that. Worse than Otis.
Otis went for the WWE title.
At least, yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the superstars or Mr. Money in the Bank cashing in on a mid-card title. Like, for example...
it's for any championship, so...
I mean, like, for example, if Sheamus won Money in the Bank in the current timeline, or in the current era right now, and was like, I'm going to cash in and take that Intercontinental title, that would make sense, because that's a championship he hasn't held yet.
Yes, he'd be a crown...
a Triple Crown champion.
A Triple Crown, because he was a United States WWE champion, heavyweight champion...
Tag champion.
Tag champion... Multi-time tag team champions.
Yeah, and a royal... Yeah. Yeah, the only championship belt he hasn't held yet was the Intercontinental title.
Yes.
But the fact that they had Austin Theory cash in on the U.S. champion and lose is a crime. And Austin Theory's credibility went down. The crime
is that they have an inanimated object as a fucking champion.
Okay, I see what you did there. And you know what's more messed up about this failed Money in the Bank cash in from Austin Theory? He would be added to the U.S. title match at Survivor Series 2022, and he would win the U.S. title anyway.
Against John Cena.
So I'm like, yeah, and he would beat John Cena at WrestleMania 39. So I'm like, what was the point of his failed cash in to begin with?
Exactly.
But anyway, you want to know a cash in that wasn't a failed cash in? We go to 2023's winners, which was, the first one is Damian Priest.
Hall of Fame.
He was part of the Judgment Day at the time, and he just waited for months on end until he cashed in during night 2 of WrestleMania 40.
Hall of Fame.
Being the second person in history to cash in successfully at WrestleMania.
Well, he was going to cash in multiple different times, especially at War Games a couple months before WrestleMania, but he got stopped by Randy. Because everyone thought Randy Orton wasn't going to come back. And then all you hear is, I hear voices calling. Yeah. I'm like, well, you guys are fucked.
Yeah, and you know what? You know what's funny? He would cash in on Drew McIntyre, who just won the title from Seth Rollins. We all know what happened, and he would take the world title.
In 5 minutes.
So, yeah, I would probably stick this probably next to Rollins here up on Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Considering it was a cash-in at WrestleMania. All right?
Yeah.
And then we got Io Sky's Miss Money in the Bank Io Sky here, who would cash in, I believe, at SummerSlam, and then go on to hold that women's championship up until WrestleMania 40 when she lost it to Bayley. After they kicked Bayley out of the Damage Control stable.
Yeah. I'd say great.
I would just put this one I would put this one above Brock on great. Because at least Io Sky deserved that Money in the Bank at the time. Unlike Mr. Brock up there, who I only put up there for the comedy bits he did. That was it.
Yeah.
And then we got 2 more left, and this probably shouldn't take much time at all. We got Drew McIntyre, who won the men's Money in the Bank ladder match and has the unfortunate distinction of being the first person to cash in the Money in the Bank contract the same night he won it and lose.
Trash.
That's self-explanatory. I wish I could put Drew McIntyre higher. Okay, I think he's a great worker, but that was crap and a waste of a Money in the Bank contract. And then we got the final Money in the Bank.
I would put it actually.
It was garbage.
In front of Sandow, because he at least wrestled in the match.
Well, so did freaking McIntyre. Except he got screwed over by CM Punk during his cash-in.
Yes.
And, well, that was a failed opportunity, and McIntyre became the first person to cash in the same night and lose.
Yes.
And then we go to the latest Money in the Bank winner at time of recording, which is Tiffany Stratton. You know, Tiffy time.
Dustin's favorite Tiffy time.
Yeah, and after winning the Money in the Bank ladder match, she would embark in this friendship with Nia Jax, the champion, for several months before cashing in on the first SmackDown of 2025 and would beat Nia Jax for the title.
I would say good to all right.
And we would talk about her title reign, but her championship reign associated with his Money in the Bank cash-in is still continuing as at the time of this recording on SmackDown right now. I mean, she just successfully defended against Nia Jax on SmackDown a couple weeks ago, leaving Nia Jax a bloody mess in the ring.
Yeah, now she's on the bad side of Alexa Bliss and Charlotte.
So, you know, they're all going to be gunning for her if one of those two names win the Money in the Bank this year.
That's why I'm saying it'd be either good or all right, because it didn't really... Her sucking up didn't really lead to a whole bunch of great things.
I would just put this at the start of all right. I mean, the title reign is still going on, but we'll see where it leads from this point forward.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's our list. We got Hall of Fame. We got Edge, Rollins, Edge from his first Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, CM Punk from his second time with the briefcase, Kane, Alexa Bliss, Orton, Sheamus, Big E, and The Miz from his first cash-in.
Yeah.
So great. We got Dean Ambrose, CM Punk from his first cash-in, Dolph Ziggler, Io Sky, and Brock Boombox Lesnar. I know a lot of people be hating that it's great. They probably bark that under trash, but oh well. This is my tier list. Under good, we got Van Dam, Bailey, Edge for the second one, which I know pisses a lot of people off, but I don't care. Asuka and Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
For all right, we got Tiffany Stratton here, Daniel Bryan, Del Rio, Carmella, and The Miz for his second Money in the Bank briefcase. And like I said, we got a lot in trash. There's the same amount of people that's in Hall of Fame. Figure that one out.
I would put it. John Cena's at the ass end of all right, because a lot of people would say it would be trash. I'm just saying that I thought it was all right.
I can't bring myself to put him in all right because he pretty much announced it and then lose. Due to Big Show's interference, but still a loss is a loss. Being the first person to have a failed cash in.
Great fight, though.
Fine, just a compromise here. I'll just put him at the ass end of all right, okay? Even though I know that'll tick a lot of people off. Even though I don't agree with that, I'll just put him here. So yeah, Cena's on the ass end of all right, but that's it. I can't put him higher.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that he should go. That's what I'm saying. It's like at the ass end, like I was saying at the beginning, it was ass end of all right and the beginning of trash because it wasn't really that great, but it also didn't. It led to different rivalries, but he really didn't need it at all either.
And I'm doing some rearranging in the trash one.
Well, we all know Otis and Sandow belong at the end of trash.
No, what I'm doing is arranging at the beginning of the trash pile.
Yes, but that's what I'm just saying is that we all know that those two belong at the end of trash.
Well, the beginning of the trash pile, the worst of the worst, all the way to, shit. Right?
Yes.
So that's being the charge. We put this one here, that one back here. I'm sorry, I'm just rearranging this shit. So yeah, in trash I have it ranged as Nikki Ass. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Jack Off Swagger. Baron Corbin. Drew McIntyre. Damian Priest. Braun Strowman. Kennedy. Otis.
Sandow.
Or you want what? You want Sandow behind Kennedy?
No, you said Damian Priest.
Or Damian Sandow,
you,
whatever.
You meant Damian Sandow.
Damian Sandow. Okay, whatever. They both have the same first name.
That's why I said I was correcting you.
I got Damian Sandow, Braun Strowman here, Kennedy here, Otis, and, well, the worst Money in the Bank winner, Theory.
Yes.
Everyone could say that freaking either Kennedy or Otis was the worst Money in the Bank, but even though they didn't cash in, but at least they didn't cash in on a mid-card title and lose.
Exactly.
Like Theory did. So, yeah, do you agree with this list?
Yes.
Now, your list may be different. You can make your own tier list here. This is actually a public tier list. So, yeah. Either way, this is our tier list, and, yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will talk to y'all later. Peace.
Deuces.